Hi, everyone. Let's welcome our other panelists on stage. I will preface with the fact that I realized yesterday I'm not just sitting on the panel answering questions, I'm going to be moderating as well, which is great because I'm going to grill you guys today. And there's been no preparation, by the way, which is the best, so we can be a bit spontaneous. Now, before we dive into questions today, I just want to take a little bit of a temperature check on AI and see in the room for your personal use, which ones of you guys, including our panelists as well, is more on the, I'm using it mostly on the platforms and interfaces side, such as ChatGPT. That's the main way that I use AI right now. Cool. And who's going to step further and has opened up the command line on your laptop, you installed local models, maybe assistants and agent workflows? Anyone? Nice. Very good. All right. So to get us started today, I think that an easy way in this space to think about where and how you're investing, you can think about the application layer, you can think about being deeply integrated into specific sectors, or just being at the front line of specific generic applications. Or you can be at a foundational level, eval models, infrastructure, orchestration. So I would love to understand from you guys how you're thinking about your thesis and defensibility, mostly the defensibility of your thesis and where in the ecosystem you're investing. You can also add an introduction, perhaps starting right here.
Thank you, Alex. Stefan Moraes. I'm the managing partner of Indico Capital Partners. We are a fund based out of Lisbon, investing mostly in South Europe and its global diaspora. And we have been investing in AI for over a decade. In fact, one of our AI companies was taken over by generative AI, and that didn't go well. So there's a revolution inside a revolution. I think, this is very much a case by case, but the truth is the foundational models and the most advanced sort of infrastructure companies have been in the US and are in the US. I mean, at least on the Western hemisphere, right? Then we have China, which is obviously very, very advanced. You obviously have companies like Lovable, which is impressive, out of Europe, and a few others. But we moved from thinking of generative AI as, we should avoid the wrappers, which everybody said, no, don't invest in wrappers, to a more sophisticated thesis, which is actually, it's the applications that will matter at some stage. Of course, you have orchestration and foundational models and all the cyber and deep tech around AI. But again, I see that way more in the US than in Europe. And I see that Europe will have a role to play in the apps, basically. And so it's way harder nowadays to become a global tech champion than 10 years ago, when you were in the age of SaaS, or 15 years ago in mobile apps. I think it's way more competitive. AI is way deeper tech. And it's hard to say you're only going to invest in infrastructure or cyber or apps. It's a case-by-case situation, because you have to look all over Europe for companies that can actually compete at the global level and have a moat. And so I wouldn't choose specifically one area. It has to be very, very specific, and you're seeing that in the rounds. Some companies attracting hundreds of millions of euros or dollars in rounds, and everybody else not attracting anything. So it's difficult to pinpoint.
Thank you.
I would agree and disagree. Okay, first of all, I agree that we need to address all levels. And okay, it is more difficult to find some players at early stage. I forgot to introduce myself. Igor Yabenki, founder, managing partner of Altair Capital, investing in early stage projects. Now run fund number 5, quite successful. Already in fund number 5, we have like third unicorn. Due to AI, by the way. And initially, when we started invest, we also started invest like 2015. in AI connected, 14, 15 AI connected projects. But a real revolution happens now after ChatGPT 4 and so on. So initially, I didn't want to touch just foundational models. Occasionally, last year, we were lucky enough to meet a European team, but I met them in San Francisco. It is fundamental. Fundamental.ai and I will not disclose, it will be in a few weeks, fundamental.ai. So we are happy to be. It's a very initial level. Then we met Perplexity, which is next level, and we also could not avoid to step in. But generally, we are more on application side or on big infrastructure side. And here again, because companies are international, say it's one of my best success of Altair, Miro.com. They just introduced months ago in New York a new approach how big corporations, not only big corporations, do innovation process and how they combine together in one environment, agents and people, and do multi-user approach to using of AI. It's okay. I cannot tell that it's early. We invested when it was tiny company. Today it's 100 million business users. So it is really big infrastructure layers. And then we should be in applications. But here, necessary also to be very attentive, because many things which are done today will be already disrupted tomorrow, and they can be disrupted either by LLMs themselves or by followers who come later, see success, and do it better, because technology evolves very quick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Perdue, Managing General Partner for Moonshots Capital. We invest in seed stage companies. Our focus is leadership. We're kind of technology or sector agnostic, but we have made a lot of investments in AI-related companies. XAI is one. Whenever you can invest in a billionaire, I highly recommend it. It's a good thing to do. We've invested in robotics, so Figure, Aptronic, both of which are heavily using AI to try to make the humanoid robotics a reality, and it's getting closer and closer. Mashup of quantum and AI with Sandbox AQ, which was founded by the CEO of DeepMind and Eric Schmidt. So again, billionaires are good people to try to back. We're at about 127 companies invested in, 30 exits, 18 unicorns, and still looking for more. The answer to the question, I think the agentic AI is going to kind of obviate a significant amount of the applications. I also am fearful, as you just mentioned, that the LLMs or the hyperscalers are going to be able to add most applications as a feature pretty quickly. So it's very dangerous. You have to go really fast if you're going to invest in an app, or it's going to get disintermediated pretty quickly. But picks and shovels for all of the technology that we've ever invested in seem to work pretty well. So investing in the infrastructure and the companies that are able to take advantage of that are a great thing to do.
Yeah, we'll actually contradict a couple of you. Cristobal Alonso, and general partner now Global Ventures, down 450 investments, CEO of Startup Wise Guys. The mic doesn't work, right? Yep. Even if I hear my voice rather well. Yep, 450 investments in pre-seed for the last 4 years, and been doing a lot of cybersecurity and defense. So actually, I disagree with about we need to go niche. Actually, if you want to have an edge and to get the best founders in pre-seed, you need to know your shit. And if you're a generalist, you don't know it. Or you have huge checks, which obviously then you probably can bring the people, right? Secondly, it's good to be in San Francisco, but I think in Europe we can build actually great cybersecurity companies. I think even with AI, so AI has great things because in cybersecurity, the bad guys use it even better than the good guys, and the bad guys don't give a shit about regulation, so they can improve all the time. And the level of sophistication of automation that we see on attacks from ransomware, phishing, etc., is just enormous, right? What we have seen a lot in the last 2 years is our cyber technological teams becoming much smaller. So people that used to have 10 people, now they have 2 or 3 people, and they're releasing 2 or 3 times faster. So the internal use of AI by technical teams is creating huge difference. At the same time, there is no defensibility unless you have proprietary data models or you have huge access to data, which for that you need to be integrated and selling that to enterprise, which I think is actually a huge difference. But as a cyber founder told me, said, man, I hate this new world because I used to have to sell. Now selling is the only differentiation. And I'm a cyber guy and I love products. So the problem right now is that everybody will build products much faster. You can actually be bypassed much faster. And at the end of the day, it's about execution and selling, which at the end of the day, that's what all startups should be about. If you sell, you succeed. And I think that's something to integrate way more into European founder mentality with or without AI, because AI right now is like using software. Like I build with software, I build with AI, of course. So to me, it was the disruption there. But I think we haven't even started seeing in enterprise grade what we can do with AI in cybersecurity and in robotics, which I touch a lot with defense also.
Very nice. I agree on the selling mentality for sure. Next question. I would love to understand from you guys how resilient you think your portfolios are to AGI. And maybe before answering this question, I'd love to hear your definition of AGI. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a long time arguing around it and perhaps right back at you. What do you think about resilience and AGI? And how do you define it?
Let's start with definitions, which nobody still gives exact definition. When you hear Altman, when you hear Anthropic, everybody like, first of all, in definitions, and second in prediction. It reminds me like a horizon line. We move toward it, and it is more and more distant. So I personally don't see this danger in a few coming years at all. We see that despite new generations of applications, we don't see that a lot of autonomous work. It still requires the heavy presence of human. Could it be? Yes. When in ideal world, when applications start create applications, when we give AI access to finances, could be that all system will be disrupted, not only our portfolio. Then okay, like fishing, hunting, we have things to do. Playing golf, yeah. Shooting photos.
I think we're at a situation where partially, the most advanced models are already, agents are already training other agents, but it's still not out there. And of course, the fear from a humanity point of view is that these things get out of control, and I think it's a well-founded fear, because I believe that the guardrails that are being put in, I'm not sure they're enough. But the question is, you have many different blocks and companies developing these multiple layers of agents, and you cannot stop this progress, right? So I think we're on the train, and the train is moving very fast, and we need to hope for the best. Now, once agents are really working, because the truth is, the vast majority of agent companies now, they don't work very well. And this is also why you're seeing already a bit of a backlash from the less, so let's say the people that are a little bit more distant from this industry that we all work with are already saying, well, actually AI doesn't work, right? So it's normal that there's a hype, and then there's a bit of a backlash, but it's here to stay. And these models, as we all know, and the agents will improve quite fast, as long as they have the right data, as long as they have the right cyber around them, and so on. And so it is inevitable that we are going to have a very different world in a few years. But I think at the same time, it will take a little bit longer than what we think in terms of actually making a huge difference in the vast majority of corporates. Yes, we have agents companies ourselves. We have backed seven unicorns actually, and they are all integrating AI, which is, I think, is something that is a little bit easier, right? We also don't need to back companies that are AI first. We can back, or we have already backed companies which are now using AI, and they're becoming hugely successful because of the new vision. From that to actually being able to say that the whole economy is adopting AI and is going to fire everybody and replace it by robots, I think it's going to be a little bit like self-driving cars. We all thought that everybody would be in self-driving cars, but actually, the roads are not ready for that, and except in like California and maybe somewhere else. So things always take a little bit longer, but the revolution is here and is unstoppable.
You're right. I invested in some Israeli company for the application for drivers, for human drivers, quality of driving. It was 2013. Everybody told me, "You stupid. It will be no drivers in 5 years." We sold company like 7 years later, and 5 years more, still it is actual.
My co-founder and I. Hello, my co-founder and I are both West Point graduates and served active duty military in the United States. About a third of our investments are into dual use or companies that have applications in the defense and or government space. And, for existential discussions, it's incredibly important that those companies understand and are able to use AI both offensively and defensively, because a lot of the competitors aren't inhibited by any kind of regulatory compliance at all. And it's very important for that to occur. At even a higher level on the AGI side, I think our investment XAI, a big portion of that was based on what Elon likes to describe as truth-seeking. I think it's incredibly important for at least one of the winners to have the truth, and I know we can argue about what truth exactly is, but at least from a factual standpoint, the underpinnings of what's driving it so that it makes decisions that are coherent for everyone.
I will go into the resilience question. I think the guys covered the other part. I think, again, is about choosing the right founders. And I think if in the past they needed to deal with uncertainty, to change, to pivoting, which became a very famous thing, now they need to be changing every second month, third month, because things are adapting, right? So, and they have to go beyond the hype, right? Oh, this new thing in AI at the end of the day, but they need to be able to change very quickly, right? And the advantage is that they are much smaller structures. So that's actually much easier for them, right? But I think the feedback loop with customers and the feedback loop on the value chain is completely different. Specifically in cyber, the value chain has become the biggest issue because it's not how well you protect yourself. It's actually you're hyper-connected. And you were talking about the agents are connecting to their agents in other companies, which you don't even know how good is their data, how well it's protected, what are the vectors of attack. So I think to me is this open communication with the community also, and the feedback loops are fundamental. But I think the biggest resilience is you need to have founders who understand that they need to be changing every 3 months and not every 12 months or maybe every 1 month. And that takes a very specific individuals. And when you are 40, 50, this idea of changing every 3 months starts becoming, oh my God, really? So they used to say that the ideal profile of a founder is 40, right? After all the experience. I think we need to retrain ourselves if we want to keep not playing golf only. How are we going to be learning every 3 months new things, non-stop until we are 60 and 70? And I think it will take very particular individuals to accept that choice versus saying, I have enough, let's play golf, and let the robot do the work, right? But I think resilience is about picking the right founders and being able as a portfolio manager to be there with constant and more difficult questions than before. This is not, I invest, I wait 3 years, and let's see what happens, or 10 years, and let's see what happens, right? And then in networks like this one is, can you make your founders share more things with other founders. Because with that speed of change, the key thing is that, for example, the CTOs and the CPOs of a portfolio share actually much faster than before. Again, it's about the silos need to be basically completely different because, again, the bad guys are sharing and they're buying on the dark web and they're actually using ransomware as a service right out there, right? And as you said, there is no regulation for them, and we have regulation.
Definitely on the speed of change, hence why the average age of Y Combinator founders having dropped significantly. I'm currently looking at investing into a tracker fund for YC companies in AI. And I mean, I started looking at YC 2011, 2012. I was still at Oxford. I was learning from YC. And the batches were very diversified. And now more than half is all AI. And yeah, the age it's impressive to see.
Speaking about YC, I become a bit cool to them. I was last time when they did like first offline after pause. It was in December, and I spoke to Gary Tan and asked him, "Look, why last year I saw the same founders with different projects?"
Yeah.
It is what happens. They come, make big batch, get a lot of money, try to do something, drop it, do next batch, get again. So it become like a very, very quick and dangerous game.
So you've cooled your opinion.
See,
toward
I
it,
invested in all my time in 80 companies from YC, altogether like 400. And if I have like 14 unicorns on early stage, the only one is from YC. Great one. No, but the only one.
Well, let's talk about transformers for a second, guys. And I know that we have a 5-minute warning, so this is probably our wrapper, unless there are burning questions that you guys need to ask, and you're welcome to jump in. But I would love to hear your opinion. Are transformers the end game today? I mean, they're state of the art, but they scale by sheer force. So I would love to understand what you think. Like, is there going to be a better architecture taking over, or is this it?
You mean battle between LLMs or what?
Yeah, well, you know,
I started now to think more about data, energy, GPUs. It is all restrictions, and because of it, it will be new LLMs, which I saw we have enough. They will emerge. First of all, models which request much less data. This happens, and a lot of people trying to do. I gave you example of fundamental. For example, what is a new LLM? They just do it for structured data because all LLMs we have predict next word, and these guys predict digits. So they will be much more useful. It happens. Also, with scarcity, big danger is that in few years, if not earlier, independent AI developers will not find capacity to run their models. And this is why started to appear projects, and we already support few projects who do decentralized AI. Means like it will be not only play which we see now and which impact markets very much. Okay, NVIDIA sells to OpenAI to Microsoft, Google, so it goes like in circles. So people understood this and started to develop these technologies, which really make like AI developers more independent and give them access. And because in the world we have no scarcity, we have a lot of capacity which is underused. So these challenges will be here. And who from big players will be first? I will refer to Eric Schmidt. He told, I don't know, so I invest in every.
Yeah, speaking of Eric, I mentioned earlier Sandbox AQ. They're working on LQMs, which is large quantitative models. So it does for numbers and equations like physics and science stuff, what LLMs do for words. And that's going to unlock massively more things in science, cyber, you name it, especially when it's mashed up with quantum. I think the biggest transformer is the agent idea, that you have something that's you basically digitally out in the wild. And the most important component of that, as it relates especially to criminal or fraudulent behavior, as well as how much it's adopted, is the trust layer. So it's going to be super important for you can call it like your personal MCP, but your ability to bind, you are actually, this is my agent, and it has this ability, this permission set, and is allowed to go operate and do these things. That is here. It's not very good yet, but it's coming fast, and it's going to, if you think about that, the natural, from first principles, the natural outcome of that occurring, there really isn't software, like per se. There's no SaaS. Like your agent goes and does whatever it wants, wherever it needs to go do it, and interacts with other agents to make it happen. That's pretty disruptive, especially for a lot of incumbents.
Yeah, was in a conference about a week ago, no, 2 weeks ago, on product development. And basically the guys were saying, if you are building a new product in the last year, throw it away and restart again using AI and all the agents, right? Which probably means that next year they will say the same thing, and the way it will be built will be different, and 2 years from now will be the same, right? So there is not something that is here to stay and that's it. I think basically we are going to be changing dramatically this part. But I agree with you that everything right now is free. And the moment somebody wins, it's not going to be free. And everything we're building right now is extremely inefficient because all the resources and the underlying are actually very cheap, right? And that's not going to be the case. So I think we are going to see way more change on the bigger layer than we think. And we always underestimate how big it is, but we think it's going to be much faster. And I think that's basically what we have seen actually. In quantum, they said in 4 years, every single algorithm in corporates is going to be actually broken. So everything has to be rebuilt. And the problem right now is that you need to start on the data, and they have no idea which data they have. So, and he said 4 years is probably not even long enough for you to audit all the data you have and all the connections you have. So we are going to see way more changes, and nothing is here to stay right now. I think that's why I think adaptability and understanding is good, and start talking with humans and not just with AI agents. It's also very important.
Good reminder. Stefan, would you add a closing note?
The only comment I'd make is that recently OpenAI changed from being a kind of a non-profit to a profit-focused company, right? It's not by chance. So I think, most people have good intentions, but at the end of the day, you have to make money for things to keep on working. And I think, we can talk about a lot of things and big models and small models, but the truth is, the current state of the world is that nobody's in charge. That is the issue, is that nobody knows what's going to happen. And this is true at a political level and at a technology level. I think those visions of future where a few people or a few big minds would be in charge of everything have not materialized. The world is messy. Technology is super messy. It's super exciting. It's going to change the way we live. But I think that nobody's in charge. And let's just enjoy the ride.
It's actually a very comforting note, given the state of the world. But don't worry, nobody's in charge, at least. Can we find you somewhere online for the audience? Are you speaking at Web Summit as well? How can people connect?
Yes, I'm speaking at several panels, hopefully being a little bit more insightful than in this panel during the Web Summit. And you can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably my favorite network.
I spoke yesterday. I go now to judge some startups, and on Thursday I'm on stage, and LinkedIn is also best place so far.
Direct message me on X.
LinkedIn, and I'm here the whole day. So much better, let's have a coffee and talk. Much better than exchanging LinkedIn's and X messages.
I'm speaking at 2 p.m. at Web Summit. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. And always happy to chat about future-proof off-grid real estate communities since nobody's in charge. But please join me in thanking the panel today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.